We know what this is costing. The supply chains are huge here. Is it as simple as just picking up where you left off when the ban lifts on next Friday?
No, very good point. Look, parts of the industry, particularly the residential sector, may be able to simply pick up tools and walk onto site, but large infrastructure projects, you need good planning. You need a whole lot of time to actually get sites back up and running. So if we're to open the industry at the end of the 2-week period, we need some knowledge, some advice that we can start getting things together on site so that we can actually start the jobs on the Monday.
It sounds like you could do this with minimal staff, potentially, so the Premier could tweak this a little bit in the meantime to make it a bit easier for you. But the problem here, it seems to be that so many of these trades, the supply chain comes out of Western Sydney. It's a manufacturing hub, lots of tradies, lots of suppliers. Do you kind of sympathise with that argument that if the Premier trying to stop movement, that's what she's trying to do here?
Look, we could sympathise with what the government is trying to do. We have worked in a COVID-19 pandemic environment for nearly a year and a half. The industry's proved itself in every sector. Granted that there are spot fires that have had problems, but they've been handled. We've fundamentally worked for a year and a half without too many problems.
Yeah.
We can put to government that certain sectors of the industry should be open and should be open quickly, and particularly the high-end, larger projects, we need to be able to plan now for a scheduled opening. But the big issue for us is that the government has to say we are going to open, not that we get a review at the end of next week and say, oh, look, we need another extension.
Right, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So you need a little bit of clarity that the ban will actually lift when the Premier says it will. I mean, how many people are we talking about that have ground to a halt? Are we talking about 1 million or more?
Look, not 1 million, but certainly you could argue that there's 500,000, depending on how far you extend the coverage of the construction industry. So we estimate about 350,000 directly employed employees in the building industry in New South Wales. And of those 350,000, about 70% are on site. And then if you take into consideration that the regional areas of New South Wales are still building, which is fantastic, but the greater majority of that percentage work out of the restricted areas. So the shutdown of the Greater Sydney area will impact on hundreds of thousands of building workers, plus, of course, the supply chain.
We've seen these payments come for businesses. We've seen grants. We've seen another, payroll-style payment subsidy for business, and we see the individual COVID disaster payments. For many in the industry, are they falling through the gaps in these support packages?
Look, too early to tell. The issue for small business is to get the cash that helps them through the 2-week shutdown, and it's too early to tell whether they are actually getting the cash. If you look at the subcontract sector, where most of the labour is employed, they're the ones that we've got to get the money to, the small business. Large contractors, particularly in the commercial sector, they will have their arrangements, but even in those larger jobs, you might have a subcontractor with 200 or 300 employees. You're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars a week in just payroll.
Yeah, exactly. And we're talking about a lot of sole traders, a lot of contractors here that don't have, the simple way of doing the books. Would you like to see JobKeeper reinstated? Is that something that helped your industry last time round, or you don't really know because you didn't have that drop-off in trade?
Well, we didn't shut down and the industry kept going. We were deemed an essential industry. And so, but I'm sure that there were many small businesses that availed themselves of help during the pandemic. But the point was that we worked, and we have worked up until Saturday, with proper adherence to the safety laws, to COVID safety plans, to proper tracing. So we can show the government that we are working safely, that we are mindful of the public, we are mindful of our clients and indeed our employees. So there are certain sectors of the industry, particularly at small business end, that have got to get back to work. Well, we all have to get back to work, but there has to be a staged opening. We're calling that even during this lockdown period that there are plans made to get the industry going.
Okay, well, we'll see how that goes, and perhaps Gladys Berejiklian will be asked a few questions about this at 11 a.m. Brian Seidler, thanks so much.
Many thanks.